for like competitive melee stuff, and like that's really kind of got me back in the Smash mindset once again for it. So I kind of wanted to do a little thing where I was gonna kind of look at, okay, we got the whole roster of Ultimate. It's been a little while since like the newness factor has kind of come and gone. So kind of near the end of the game's life cycle at this point, at least for now, kind of deal. But I kind of wanted to look at each character and look at them specifically gameplay-wise. How do I feel about each one of them? For the record onto that, this is a very, yeah, I guess kind of like that one stream we did years ago, before Ultimate launched onto, that was for every game, for it. I'm specifically looking at Ultimate, specific though, so here's the thing with this, and I think we gotta make this clear, because I think otherwise we're going to talk about, two different topics when it comes to the characters. I am not looking specifically at, like, how well does a character represent themselves in Smash, like, through movesets, or, you know, how big of a factor they are character-wise. Like, I feel like at this point, that's all gone. You know, that newness factor of the you know, in the store shelves, in the plastic wrap is done at this point. It's now a matter of, when I put this game up, do I actually want to play this character? Again, kind of deal. And do I want to see them in tournament? Kind of thing. That's what we're looking at for it. How well is the character, you know, now at this point? So yes, there is definitely some competitive aspects that are going to be a little in there, some of it not. But yeah, just so we're kind of clear on the criteria for that. I'm probably going to be mentioning that a few times as people come and go throughout this, especially when we get, I think, into the Smash 4-esque era of characters. I think that's going to become a lot more relevant at that point. So yeah, on that. I will say, probably out of curiosity for you guys, gameplay-wise, who are your favorite characters in Ultimate? Onto that. Like, if you had to look strictly gameplay-wise, who do you think are some of your favorite characters in all of Ultimate on that? And also, I'm curious if any of you guys have done Smash competitively or not. Yes, I will be including Echo Fighters into this. I'll definitely have some thoughts on them throughout that. I mean, they are a separate character, so for some of these guys, so yeah. Yeah, I will have probably some takes on Echoes as we get onto here. I don't know where I stand in comparison to you guys onto that, but we'll see. Pikachu, Marth, Pit, Ike, Lucas, Joker, and Terry, name a few. Fox, Mega Man, Ridley, Joker, Sora. Okay. There's me right now as I'm looking at all your takes. Got 2 more minutes till we actually start this on again. Yeah, no, Dutchman, when we played earlier, yeah, Ty has been kicking my ass in Smash for years onto that for us. Like, we met each other through Smash long back in the Brawl days onto that, for it. So, we've been playing Smash together, and, yeah, Tyler was also, ranked, I think, at best, I think was 5th in Michigan when he was playing competitively on that in Ultimate. So, yeah, no, Tyler's legit on that. Okay, so I think we got enough people in here that we can start this thing off onto it. So, yeah, I guess we start all the way up here. Let's actually, you know what? Let me just, yeah, get this a little bit more like this at this point, because I think this might help out a little bit on this, just for, so you guys aren't looking at the very small icon onto that. Okay, so yeah, so first starting off, Mario. I think Mario is in a pretty good spot. I feel like, definitely for the early days of Smash that they didn't quite know where to actually fit Mario gameplay-wise onto it. I think ever since Smash 4, they've had a much better idea onto it. And while this version of Mario doesn't quite have, the big ladder combos onto it, he still does competitively well frequently throughout. I think there's not really any part of his kit that I think is necessarily bad. I think every move with the character works really well into this point, and you see him consistent well. I think Mario is in a pretty good spot, and out of all of like the plumber characters, I think he is good. Yeah, I think the only thing that's bad about him is his final smash, but that's only, talking in casual play. Other than that, I think Mario is pretty fine in his current iteration onto it. I think I would just like to see some blue Mario back, but that's about it for me. I think he's... Well, actually, no. I don't think this Sound B's bad. Honestly, I've seen Flood, especially in an era when recoveries can kind of make or break characters onto that. Flood denies a lot of high option recovery onto that. Because if you hit them with Flood, even if you don't kill them with that, you can meteor them with forward air right after it. It's pretty consistent, dude, on that. So, yeah, again, I think it's like... Mario is, I think he's still ranked in A tier from last I checked onto it. I should probably pull up the official Smash tier list on the side, just so I can compare. That, just to actually see where he's at right now. Yeah, he's right in the middle of A onto it. That checks out onto that. So, yeah, I think Mario is pretty good where he is, to it. I don't think he's the Ryu of Smash onto that. Onto it. I actually think I put that to another character, honestly, onto that more, I would say. But yeah, I think Mario in his iteration, he's good. I think he's good.
Donkey Kong.
So Donkey Kong's kind of a weird one because he's actually had a big resurgence in Japan lately. Also in Statewise too. He's on onto that. I mean, the biggest problem with DK has always been his size, and he is just like combo food the character onto that. Like, against so many characters, he will get edge guard comboed, projectiles fanned out. I don't think, he won a tournament in Melee, not in Ultimate. I think in Ultimate, his best result is like 3rd place, I think, in a Super Major in Japan, if I remember right. I think DK's overall okay. I'm not sure if I exactly love him, because I don't think... Everybody always likes to say DK's a grappler, and I've never necessarily agreed with that position. Because honestly, it feels like he gets most of his KOs off of cheese onto that, or up airs onto that. I do think DK could overall be a more fun character onto it, because I feel like right now... He's currently riding off of gimmicks and armor onto that a little more than I feel comfortable with onto that. So I think more of an actual combo game I would really like to see from DK rather than just straight hits and stuff like that. Like, you do have back air and neutral air strings and stuff like that kind of deal. But I think he could use a little bit more tweaking to make his playstyle kind of a bit more well-rounded. Because I do think... Like, we're not going to get to him much later, but grappler character, I definitely give it to this guy over DK on that. Link is a weird one, because he's definitely at the conundrum that he's got 2 better versions of him in this game onto that. I think Remote Bomb is cool for it. It's easily my favorite part of Link's kit onto that for it, because I always think the problem is... Like, let's be honest, Link has sucked in basically every single Smash onto it. He's arguably the worst character in 64. He's definitely down there in Melee. I think there's a strong argument he's the worst character in Brawl. I honestly think so. Onto that, even in a game with Brawl Ganondorf and Brawl Jigglypuff, I think there's a case for Link. Honestly, I think the only version that really kind of had something going for him was Smash 4 onto that. I don't miss Gale Boomerang that much, because I feel like the only time it really worked was in Smash 4 onto it. Especially in other incarnations, I feel like Gale Boomerang ended up effing up your combo structure more than it didn't than it did on that. So, I don't know. I think the one thing this Link's really got going for him is Remote Bomb. I think that is a genuinely great move onto him, and it adds a lot of item game. Like I get a lot of discount Mega Man and discount Snake vibes from this character onto it, unfortunately. Because I think right now, I think a big problem is that, you know, if somebody's grabbing the bomb, they can't detonate it, which I feel like that should change, honestly, onto that. Because I feel like Link isn't always able to detonate the bomb at every time. And I think as long as you could shield it while you were holding it, I think that's fine. I think if they did that change, Link might actually be a little bit better, but right now, I just don't see any reason to play him over Young Link or Toon Link on that right now. So, unfortunately, I think Link kind of is a character that could get workshop more, but I don't think they're going to change his moveset entirely onto it is kind of the problem for that. Because you got to realize, I know a lot of people say they should make this Link more Breath of the Wildy and stuff like that. I know it's the same thing with Mario when they talk about Mario Odyssey. Here's the thing, guys. With characters, especially like Mario and Link, we were making kind of the Ryu comparisons earlier, but in a way of like, they are kind of the characters that people are going to go there expecting consistency with them onto that. So, you know, they're not going to fundamentally change these characters all too much onto that, but I do think this Link kind of needs more either kill confirm structure or actually really add some power to him if he is going to be the slowest out of the Links. Because honestly, the other two Links have a lot more combo confirms on that than Link himself on that. So, yeah, I think they could go and change him up a little bit more. Because I don't think this version of Link is really anything that special. And not enough to really get from the other two versions onto that. Dutchman, I'm going to primarily be focusing on Ultimate for this list onto it. Actually, now you're thinking about this. Let me know if this does well. If this does well, let me know. I might be interested in going back into earlier Smash games and like spend a few days labbing with each character and kind of remind myself how each incarnation was. If you guys be down for that, let me know. Let me know. I'd be curious about that. Yeah, not to do every character all in one, because yeah, no, like if we were doing all versions of all characters in one video, it'd be like 5 hours on that. So yeah.
Samus. Dog Samus.
So with the Samuses, I think honestly, at least in official versions, this is probably the best version of Samus we've ever had at this point. I think that Samus is really able to play the hot-cold game more than any other version of her. Like, she's able to, you know, pressure you from afar and then be able to go in and get her combos going when the time comes right onto that. I do wish more power was kind of put into more aspects of the character than just Charge Shot, because I do think she has a bit more, you know, kill power with Charge Shot than really anything else in her kit. So I kind of wish that was a little bit more evenly distributed. Yeah, I mean, bombs, I think, bombs have always been kind of a weird one in Smash for Samus onto that, because it's primarily used as a recovery tool for her onto that. I'd say to use it, I would kind of like to see it get a little bit more used as a cross-up tool onto that, because I think that could lead to a lot more interesting stuff of, like, you know, put a bomb on their shield, and then if you were like able to maybe adjust the timing of when it goes off to go for grab setup or stuff like that. But yeah, I think so. And then I mean, Dark Samus is going to be the exact kind of same onto that, so they're interchangeable for me onto that. I will probably get a little bit more talking about how I feel about Ekkas when we get to Marth Lucina, just a head up. But yeah, both of them are characters I tend to use a lot, honestly, onto that. I think they're two of the more fun characters in Ultimate for me from the original cast onto that. I don't agree with Dark Samus onto that. Again, I'll get to my piece when we get to Marth and Lucina onto that, for the record. Just put a pin in that. Put a pin in that for now.
Yoshi.
Okay, I'm gonna be real, I'm not a huge fan of Yoshi in a lot of Smash onto it. I mean, I think the only time I'm super big into Yoshi is Melee, and that's mostly thanks to Hamsa on that, so, you know. But I think this one, for it, armor is definitely still there, and that's always a factor that Yoshi's going to have onto that. I don't quite like how multi-hit centric that Yoshi has kind of become onto that. So I guess Yoshi's very middle of the road for me. I'm not really here or there onto it. I do think Yoshi can be a little bit annoying to fight onto that, but I don't really feel any way one way or the other on that for Yoshi for me.
Kirby!
Or Kirby, man. Like, Kirby has been so ass in so many of these games after 64, which is never again onto that. I mean, Kirby really suffers from being Kirby can't get in on opponents. The only real thing he's got is Suck and Cuck on that, you know, for, like, his only reliable kill option onto that. The rest of his kit is just not good enough to really compete, especially with how many sword characters are in this meta. On that, man, like, it is so hard for Kirby to get in onto it. Honestly, hell, if Jigglypuff is having a hard time getting in, imagine for Kirby, who's got even less aerial options to work with on that. So, yeah, I don't think Kirby is that great. I want Kirby to be good, but he's definitely going to need a major rework. I think he needs more tools to actually get in, which, ironically enough, that's what PM gave him on that, like a horizontal air cutter and stuff like that. That honestly helped Kirby a lot getting in with better tools at that point to actually start his combo game. Because I have seen some Kirbys do some pretty cool shit with the character, but there's a reason why he's always kind of struggled and, you know, I think we only tend to see him at the beginning of a game because of that reason.
Fox!
Okay, we were talking about Ryu of the game. I think Fox is borderline perfect design of a character in Ultimate onto it. I don't think he's got a single bad button on him in his entire kit. I think he's good from pretty much any range onto that. His kill options are ridiculous. He's got a lot of offstage options. He's one of the few characters that actually can pressure you into an aggro state on it thanks to lasers on that. And you know, he's a hard character to make work onto that. You really gotta be precise with him to get jab lock setups, to get up air conversions onto that. But if you do, like, oh my god, Fox is one of the coolest characters in the entire game onto it. So, like, honestly, if I were to pick up a new character in Ultimate to compete with, I think it'd be Fox onto that. I think they nailed him out of the park onto it. And he honestly just feels like a better version of his Smash 4 self onto that. I mean, Fox has been good in every game, even technically Brawl. I know Brawl, I think he was like a C tier character, but he happened to be really good against Meta Knight onto that. So that gave him competitive viability onto that, which is kind of an interesting thing in Smash. When you have a character that dominates a tier list as hard, usually the meta revolves around that character. For example, one I can say is Brawl Ike. If you ever saw Brawl Ike is pretty low tier onto that. Like, he actually has favorable matchups against most of the cast. But his one truly awful matchup is against Meta Knight. And considering how often you will fight him in the game, that alone kills his tournament viability onto that. If he can't can't compete with the one character you're gonna fight in tournament all the time, like, it's gonna be a struggle for him, so. But anyway, yeah, back to Fox. I think Fox is borderline of a perfect character design onto it. That's why he's been good in every single game onto that. And also, you know, he's a character that doesn't really reflect his series at all, but his moveset's really good. Just throwing that out there. Not out there, no reason at all onto that, you know.
Pikachu!
Pikachu's kind of a weird one for me. I think the joke with Pikachu in Ultimate has been, you know, once he never got touched at all, despite being considered one of the best characters in the game. I have noticed a lot of people have been calling Pikachu the melee Sheik of the game. In terms of, character is always consistently really good, but just never seems to actually win a major or anything like that. And with ECM backing off from competing, we definitely have seen a lot less Pikachu in recent years onto that. So it is hard to kind of get his tournament viability now at this point. I mean, I think Pikachu's okay for me. I've never been too big on the character throughout his lifespan in really any kind of Smash. I think Smash 4 was weirdly the one I played the most Pikachu in, and this is pretty much identical to that version of the character. I think besides, like, its neutral air. is different, but yeah, I think Pikachu is overall fine onto that. Yeah, it takes a lot to be good with him. Oh my god, like his combo conversion game, like you gotta be on top of it to make Pikachu good onto that. Which I think he's overall a pretty healthy character onto that. I don't think there's too much to actually change with him. Yeah, he's a high skill ceiling character. High skill floor onto that, rather, yeah. So if you're playing Pikachu, you gotta be really good with him. So I think he's pretty healthy where he is, even if he's not necessarily for me. Onto that, I think he's in a healthy spot.
Luigi.
Okay, Luigi's kind of a, because admittedly, I haven't been big on, since Smash 4, the grab-focused nature that Luigi has kind of become. Like, Luigi has always been kind of the weird character of Smash. Like, I think, honestly, the one I like Luigi the most in is probably Melee, because he's got slow air movement, but he's got a lot of ground mobility because of Wave Dash and stuff like that. But he becomes kind of the really quirky character of the cast, and I like that with Luigi. I don't really like an Ultimate and Smash 4 of how grab-focused they made him onto it. Yeah, he's Green Mario Touch of Death onto it. And I don't know, I feel like it's kind of robbed Luigi a lot of his personality in comparison to the cast onto that. I feel like he kind of just has one game plan and that's it. Like, he really doesn't have much else going for him at this point. So, I would honestly like to see him reverted a bit more to his older self in the future installments onto that, because admittedly, I just don't really have motivation to play Luigi anymore at this point, because I think I just prefer playing Mario on that. Okay, it is really hard to be unbiased about this because I hate fighting this character so much onto it. But admittedly, like, I think Smash 4 has been overall the best Ness, if I remember right, and I think this one is mostly about the same in regards to him onto that. Like, I think the one thing I don't like, I'm fine with actually him having like grab, air throw, forward air combos onto that. I think that's fine. I would say I don't exactly like the focus that they have with him on PK Fire for that, because you just kind of get put into there for so long onto it. That becomes such a cornerstone of his game plan that I don't know. Admittedly, I've never really been big on Ness in any Smash game. I've always been more Lucas out of the two of them. So, but I do feel like Ness is overall kind of missing a bit of the stuff that made him really good in Smash 4 onto that. Because I just never seen Ness, especially with Ness's awful recovery and how many characters can snipe that out of existence. It's so hard to play Ness at this point. So, I don't know. I don't know how much I'll play on that.
Captain Falcon.
So, with Falcon, here's the thing. Besides Brawl, like, Falcon's been pretty much decent in every Smash game at this point. Brawl's definitely the weird one. And here's the thing. Regardless of even what I say, everybody will try and make this character work no matter what, because Falcon is always the character people will root for every time he shows up onto it. And I mean, there's not too many differences, I think, between Ultimate and Smash 4 Captain Falcon on that. But I think this one overall just benefits from system mechanics more onto that for him. He does have a lot of pressure that he can put onto you, getting your face very quickly, and be able to just end stocks incredibly fast onto it. So I think overall, Falcon's in a pretty good spot. I do think he could be a little better, honestly, onto it. I think you can make him even faster with his actual attacks onto that. Because I mean, there is a reason why in like 64 and Melee, that's kind of what defined Falcon's identity onto that. So, you know, I think he could be tweaked a little bit more, but I think he's overall in a good enough spot, I think, right now. Falcon is strange. I think he actually struggles to kill sometimes. Do you think it might be that he has a bit of Morphitis problem onto that? He might have that. What I mean by that, chat, is Morphitis is kind of the term they give Melee Morph, where it's basically he can kill pretty consistently until it gets to a high enough percent, and then he's got to really fish for kills at that point. Sheik also had the same problem in Smash 4 onto that. So I think that might be it. I think that might be. Strangely, he lacks safe non-committal options outside of up smash onto that. I think, yeah, that might also be it onto it, because, yeah, Knee is definitely not as reliable as he used to be on that.
Jigglypuff.
Jigs is weird onto this. Let me see. Where is Jigs actually placed on the tier list at this point? Okay, she's high of C tier onto it. Yeah, that sounds about right onto that. Weirdly, I think I kind of want Melee Jigs kind of back air and shit to be back, because I think that's the one way you make Jigs really viable onto it. She definitely has a few gimmicks onto that, like, you know, down air into rest or single edge stalling and stuff like that onto it. I don't think Jigs is necessarily terrible. I think she could be better, though, onto it. I think you need to kind of, with a character as small as Jigs, and especially with all the disjoints that are in the meta now, I think she definitely needs to get, yeah, I don't think melee good, but I think she definitely needs a bit more disjoints to help her with, especially with the rising tide of this roster, because it is so hard to get in with her. She Hungrybox has also said the same thing of, like, you really have to rely on Jigs to for your opponent to make mistakes to make Jigs good onto that. So I think a little bit more buff. I don't think you go super big with Jigs, though, onto that. It is hard to make her balanced and healthy onto that. I mean, Jigs has only been good in one game, which is Melee. Every other game, she's arguably the worst character in the game onto that. So it is hard to really define that. But I think it can be done. I think it can be done.
Daisy.
Okay, so I've been playing Peach ever since Melee onto that, and honestly, I think this might be probably my favorite version of the character onto it. I think, like, for me, it's that they finally made every single move in Peach's moveset work onto that, because I feel like for every appearance, Peach has always had one or two just terrible moves that you would never use with the character at all. Usually, I think it used to be like her up tilt or Toad or anything like that. No, I think every side B onto that. But no, I think every move with Peach now actually works super well. And they're also like the most technical character in the game onto that, with like float cancel, drag across the stage kind of shit with them. But I think honestly, Peach and Daisy are another character that I think honestly I think are borderline perfect in the way that they are right now onto it. I really wouldn't change much about them onto it. Again, I think also a very healthy top tier onto that. They require a lot of finesse to be good with onto that, which I think is good. I think that is good for a healthy top tier where you have to keep up a level of consistency to get the character to be that good onto it. It's one of the reasons I think actually Fox is a very healthy top tier in Melee on that, because of all the skill that's required from him, and that every character knows how to fight you at that point. So if you play Fox, you gotta be perfect with him. So, you know, flow cancel does break the balance damage output with a short off, but you have to do, yeah, that's the exact thing, is that in order to make Peach and Daisy really good, you really gotta put in the effort to learn that shit onto it, which I think is good. I think that's good onto it. So yeah, Peach and Daisy, big thumbs up. I really love how they came out in the game on that.
Bowser.
This dude, I have such a hard time telling if I actually like them or not onto it. Bowser, it feels like ever since Smash 4, I think they've been moving more and more in the right direction with Bowser. I think the problem is right now, honestly, I think give him more armor, because I think Bowser actually has some pretty decent speed onto that. For a super heavyweight, his speed is actually not that bad. And, you know, he's got stuff like his command throw, which does a lot of damage onto that. And he can definitely end stocks very quickly once he actually is in there. But I feel like the problem is right now he doesn't have enough armor to actually deal with many of the characters in the game, especially when, like, he gets beaten by pretty much any up out of shield option in the game onto that. So Bowser definitely really struggles with that. But I think, honestly, armor might be the way to actually make him good onto that. I think my one change to give him Fireball. Yeah, I definitely think to get get fire to actually be a useful move, because like that's the same thing with Charizard. It's never been a good move for them. So I think honestly to actually give him a proper projectile might actually help him out a lot onto it. Actually, you know, now that I think about it, if you made Fireball kind of like a wolf laser, I think that actually might be really good onto that. I think that actually might be really good if you were able to do it like that. Yeah, so I think probably that and give him armor onto it. And then I think Bowser will be in a pretty good spot at this point. Heavies are always kind of weird because they inherently have a lot more challenge than other characters in the cast or other kind of similar archetypes in the other fighting games, just because movement is such a big deal in platform fighters. So I think definitely that's kind of the way of how I would change him for right now.
Ice Climbers.
So we kind of always knew the day was coming when these guys were gonna become a menace. You know, we always knew that these guys were gonna be a menace, and they're starting to show now in like Japanese tournaments and stuff like that. Yeah, no, Ice Climbers can be absolutely disgusting for it. To be fair, this is probably my favorite version of Ice Climbers, because I'm not a big fan of them in Melee and especially Brawl. Oh god, Brawl Ice Climbers. They don't have wobbling in this game, and they don't have chain grabs onto it. They have some footstool shenaniganery that they can get into. But again, I think Ice Climbers are in, I think overall, a pretty healthy position onto it, because again, a character that acquired probably the most complicated character in the entire game onto that. It takes a lot to be good at Ice Climbers, and they even haven't gotten super good results with that, so it's like I can't even like necessarily say I would change too much about the character, because you know, onto that. So I think this is probably the healthiest spot Ice Climbers have ever been in onto that. With this kind of character, it's really hard excuse me on that. Because you push them too far and then you get Brawl Ice Climbers. Even Melee Ice Climbers themselves are still really good onto that. So I think Ice Climbers, probably keep them around this spot. I think they're good here. Sheik, so this is interesting because I was ready to kind of rant my way on how I think Sheik is just not good in this game. And lo and behold, within the last year, Sheik has actually been getting some pretty major results as of late. And now that I've actually seen the gameplay in front of me, yeah, people can make Sheik work. However, I think her execution is way too high for the amount of damage that she actually does. Honestly, I'm still in the camp. Honestly, I think Smash 4 Sheik was a perfect spot for the character on that. Like, the amount of damage that she gets in Smash 4 is ridiculous, but she has a hard time killing. I think that's a perfect spot for a character like Sheik. And she still required a lot of technical finesse to actually be good with. So I kind of want them to lean a little bit more back to that version of Sheik, because I think, honestly, right now, there's just characters that get so much more damage than Sheik for so much more little effort onto it. Yeah, she needs to be more rewarded, because I think her skill ceiling is just a little too high onto it. Yeah, not having force combos definitely hurts her on that. I want Sheik to be better onto that, and I think Smash 4 is definitely the direction to go, because I think Sheik was a very healthy top tier in that game overall.
Zelda.
Oh, poor girl. Poor girl Zelda. Because, man, there was kind of some hope at the beginning of, you know, the beginning of Smash 4 for her, but she kind of fell into the exact same problem that she fell into in pretty much every single Smash game onto that. She's got a few high kill power options, you know, Twinkle Toes and Up B kill confirms onto that, but that's really about it. Honestly, I'm still kind of in the camp. Make Din's Fire an actual trap like it is in PM onto it, and kind of focus her more to being a trap-centered character, I think is more the way to actually go with the character, because that will give her an identity and actual game plan, because right now, I think that's the biggest problem. I have no idea what they intend you to actually do with Zelda, with her kid. It feels very confused on what is the actual game plan with the character on that. So I want to see her actually more specialized into a trap character onto that. I think it's more of where I want to actually see the character go gameplay wise, because I think right now she's a little lost currently.
Dr. Mario!
Yeah, Doc is pretty much the same problem I had with him in Smash 4. I just don't think focusing on power is really enough to cover all his downsides onto it. You know what? Actually,
Zelda.
Tyler, you're right onto it. I want to feel smart when I play Zelda. That's why I think making trap character would be a very good fit. But yeah, that's a Doc. I think just Doc, his recovery is awful onto it. I don't think he gets nearly enough damage as he should for stray hits and the like of that. It's really hard to justify playing Doc over Mario onto that when Mario just has so much more going for him at this point. We have seen a few power plays by Doc against people like Riddles and such onto it. Like, there is more to Doc than I think people let on. We have seen definitely some upsets, but he is definitely still a low tier at heart on that.
Pichu.
Okay, I'm gonna be real. I kinda don't agree with the nerfing that Pichu got in this game, honestly, because I actually think Pichu at the beginning of Ultimate was pretty damn good onto it. I mean, arguably, he's the character that got hit probably the hardest onto it. Doc is a great character to teach you fundamentals. I can kind of see that onto it. He's probably not bad of a training character to like get people into Smash onto that for fundamental process. Yeah, I can see that. That might be a strength of him, but I'd rather just have actual character. I'm not invalidating your point. I'm just saying, you know, onto that. I do wish I would just have a better design Doc. But yeah, Pichu onto that. I think he got nerfed way too hard. Yeah, exactly, Ty. I'm agreeing with you. I'm agreeing with you on that. But yeah, no, I think Pichu got hit way too hard onto that, because I actually think Pichu was in a very good spot onto it, because Pichu just absolutely shat out damage. Like, his kill power was insane. But honestly, onto that, like, that damage percent, and with him being able to be killed incredibly early onto that, I think that made Pichu a very good glass cannon character. But now there's kind of nowhere to really go, because Pikachu is just a better character onto that. I actually liked Pichu more at the beginning of Ultimate in comparison. So I think, honestly, really focusing Pichu to be a glass cannon character, I think is the direction to really go with the character on that. Because I think both can coexist. I think this is one actual... We're going to get into Echoes very soon because Marth is upcoming onto that. But I think Pichu is one of the few examples where I actually think a fundamental difference actually can really work between them on that. You know, Pikachu is the more safe option, but Pichu just absolutely shits out damage, but is much easier to kill onto that. I think is honestly a better... one of the few characters that I actually think can work in that mindset. So I definitely want to see more Glass Cannon Pichu actually come back. So Falco. Okay, I'm gonna be honest, part of me is a little salty onto this. I think Falco in Melee is one of the coolest characters in any platform fighter onto that. And I have never really liked him ever since Brawl, for me, when they really kind of Luigi-fied him onto that. I just never have gelled with him as much as Fox and Wolf onto that. But here's the thing. I know every region has a good Falco. Like, it's practically guaranteed onto that. There's a Falco in your top 10, no matter where you are onto that. They're a hive mind on that. So, like, I would personally make him more like his Melee Falco to be a lot more stylish for me, because I think that's Falco kind of at his core. But there are so many people that play Falco that's like, okay, I can kind of just, I'll take the L onto that, and, you know, like, people really do like him. He's just not for me. I got other species that I like more, so I'm willing to fall on that one. So. Okay. Okay. So, I feel like some of my casual friends in here might be disagreeing with me onto this. Okay. So I think actually Marth Lucina is a perfect example of Why? Actually, for me, I rather prefer the Echoes be practically the same character, like a Dark Samus or a Peach Daisy. Here's the problem, and this is kind of the same problem I have with Doc, because he falls into the exact same boat issue onto this. The problem is when you try and make these small changes to characters onto this, and like be like, one's really good, one, you know, the other one's got a bit of a different gimmick onto it. The problem is, for 90% of these, what that actually means, one is going to be played significantly more than the other, and the other is practically going to be non-existent in the game. Think about it to me, when was the last time you actually saw Marth? Let's be honest, guys. When was the last time you actually saw Marth out there? Because, yeah, no, Lucina is just better in every regard onto that. And honestly, for me, I actually much rather have the characters be so similar that you'll actually see the two of them in a match, with, you know, consistently onto that. Marth was the better of the two in Smash 4 on that, yeah. Okay, Dark Pit's a weird example on that, but I think I know why onto that. I feel like Pit's more of the outlier onto that, because here's the problem, even making them separate onto it, even, like, this is the thing where I think they kind of messed up on the Echo situation for me personally onto that, because other characters like Dr. Mario and Pichu kind of exist onto that as separate characters onto this, I see kind of really no difference between that and like a Echo Fire with Lucina. Again, I think they kind of flubbed the whole Echo thing, because I honestly think they had the solution. They had the solution to actually get more characters in, and it's just the option, do you want to play one or do you want to play the other one onto that. The problem is when you actually start making them different, they now become separate characters at that point, and one is just going to be played over the other. That's just how it's going to go down onto that. So honestly, I'd rather just have the characters actually be the same. That way you'll actually see both of them. But yeah, to actually get into it, I haven't really been a fan of where Marth has been going ever since Smash 4 onto it. For reference, I know I keep bringing it up, but Melee and Brawl Marth, I also say, honestly, two of the best designed characters in any platform fighter, maybe even any fighting game onto it. I think Marth's kit is just so fundamentally good and well designed onto it that he will always be one of the most fun characters. And I think ever since Smash 4, they have, because of Lucina's existence, they've really kind of over-focused him on the Tipper. And, like, if any Marth player's gonna tell you that from the older Smashes, like, Tipper was never the be-all, end-all part of the character onto that. Because, like, honestly, it's all about getting to the combo and then ending it with, like, a Tipper or Ken combo down air or stuff like that kind of deal. Because, like, honestly, I think trying to make Marth too much of a fencer really doesn't work, especially, like, when we're talking about that, when these two characters exist onto that. Marth's Tipper loses a lot of relevancy on that, you know, onto it. Yeah, I wish Dash Attack also became a combo tool onto it. Honestly, this is probably my least favorite version of Marth onto it, which is sad to say. I want Marth to be cool. I think he is such a cool, I have seen him be so cool in the past onto that. So, I don't know. I think Lucina is definitely a better character between the two of them onto it. You can play Lucina a lot like you did previous Marths onto it. Then again, I just still don't think Lucina's quite all the way there onto it. Like, she is overall of, like, you know, get great damage, great combo tools onto that. The benefits of side B in this game really help on that too, and Shield Breaker is actually useful in this game because of the even damage you get on the blade. But I still feel like Lucina doesn't quite hit the highs of, like, a Melee or Brawl Marth. She kind of feels a bit like a diet version of the two characters. So I would say to add a little bit more of that kind of spice back into the character, but I think Lucina's overall in a fundamentally fine spot. Bring Gold Marth back is what I want to say onto that.
Young Link.
Okay, this is going to be biased as fuck because I'm a Toon Link main on that. Okay, I just need to preface that on this. But, like, overall, it's weird with Young Link onto that. Because I think overall, he is a fundamentally just better Link onto that. I think he's just got so much more tools in his kit onto that than regular Link onto that. And like, yeah, no, the pressure that he can give and the kill confirms he can get off of that are ridiculous. I think the thing that keeps me from really loving young Link, he definitely has the Marfighter Sheik problem, where once he's out of kill range for his combos, oh my god, young Link struggles to actually get confirmed kills onto that. When you can't up B or get your down air confirms onto that, young Link really struggles, and I think that's why we've seen him kind of be in the middle of the pack for a very long time. Onto that, we have seen great performances from the character onto that, so, like, but at a fundamental level, he is probably the best of the 3 Links onto that. So, I think he is good onto that. I think he can be a little bit better, though. I think he can push him a little bit more. Yeah, that's kind of the problem. It's like, I don't really know where you would actually change the character, because I think he is fundamentally so solid onto that. He is maybe a little honest for his own good onto it. Zach, we're not talking about that. We're not talking about that right now onto it, because, like, okay, maybe it's because I main one of these guys. There is pretty noticeable difference between all 3 of them onto it, but I think, honestly, you only gotta know that if you are competitive with them onto it. They definitely, all 3 of them have a different feel, even if their moveset is technically the same onto that. You know what's bad? When this is probably the best Ganondorf he's ever been, and he's still the worst character in the game. Because, like, okay, this isn't even getting into a Ganondorf should be more like Zelda thing, because, like, I've heard, you know, from our comments on to that, you know, that should just be Black Shadow instead to get the moveset forward. The problem is, I think just the fundamental moveset of this character is garbage on to it, because the problem is, he has no mobility for him. Even if he's a big character that does a lot of damage onto it, he can never get in onto that. So you can zone him out. He dies from every character has a 0 to death on this guy for it. So I think this moveset kind of has to fundamentally change his entire game plan to actually give him movement and give him options to get in. Because honestly, that's what Falcon has onto that. And that's why he's actually able to stay competitively viable onto that. Ganon doesn't have that at all onto that. So I think Jab Reflect projectiles, Warlock Kick bypass projectiles. I think honestly that could be a way to actually make it work onto that, because Ganon in his current set can't really work onto that. He needs actual tools to get in onto that, especially as like projectiles become more and more of a prevalent thing onto it. You know, Ganondorf always continues to struggle more and more, that you just can't get in to actually give you the damage. That's the biggest thing you gotta realize with platform fighters is that, yeah, I think give him a Zangief green hand, honestly. Yeah, I think actually tools like that would really help him onto that. I think, honestly, a great example is, again, look at PM Ganondorf, because I think they really figured out how to actually make him good of that. They gave him a float onto that. His kick is much faster onto that, and he can cancel stuff like side B on ledge kind of deal for reversal tools to get like big grab damage off of people. So I think you can make it work onto that, but I think you actually need to give him tools to get in onto that. And Axeman, the thing I actually think, make Warlock punch into a taunt like PM onto that too. Because also, admittedly, I don't think you need both Warlock Punch and Up Tilt. I think they do practically the same thing. So, like, honestly, I think maybe keep Up Tilt on that and get rid of Warlock Punch for something else onto that. I think probably that for me onto it, because Ganon in this current edition is just not working on that. He's really not.
Mewtwo.
Okay, this one kind of hurts me onto it, because, like, here's the thing. Mewtwo in Smash 4 and Ultimate is actually one of my more played characters. I actually think on a fundamental level, I think Mewtwo is actually super sick, and I think they're getting there. But I definitely think, for me, I much have him rather like Smash 4, because the problem is, into Ultimate, they pretty much got rid of all his kill confirms onto that. So it makes it very hard for Mewtwo to actually get kills in now onto that, which I honestly think Smash 4 Mewtwo might be one of the best high-tier characters in the game. because he sucked at first, but then they buffed the shit out of his speed where he was basically as fast as Sheik. So he became an uber glass cannon character onto that. And honestly, I think in Smash Wars meta, that worked super well for that. Because, like, yeah, he's a big body. He gets hurt very easily onto that. But he absolutely can just end stocks right away onto it. And I think I want to see Mewtwo go back more to that incarnation. Because, yeah, this Mewtwo definitely struggles onto it. He's definitely one of my most fun. He's definitely still one of the characters I play the most onto it. I want him to be better, though. I want him to be a little bit better. Man, talking about this, one day I just want to play Smash 4 again, just to play Sheik and Mewtwo again, man. just those two. No one else.
Roy!
Okay. So when I first played Melee, I thought this man was my main back then, until I realized he sucked. Ultimate Roy is the Roy I thought he was back in Melee. Onto that, I absolutely love everything about this version of the character onto it. Of, like, you know, he's super aggressive onto that. He gets so much damage onto it. He has so much pressure tools and ways to psych you out of, like, you know, neutral B into forward tilt or side B reverse, B reverse side Bs onto that. Honestly, I think Roy is one of the best designed characters in the entire game onto it. There's very little I would actually change about him onto that. And like we kept saying it for a long time, in between Smash 4 and Ultimate onto it, Roy felt like he was in the wrong game in Smash 4 because he did not benefit from any of the mechanics of that game at all onto it. Because, yeah, no, like Roy is, I love him. I love this version of the character so much onto it. He's easily my favorite swordsman in the entire game onto it. I think they did such a good job with him.
Chrom!
So Chrom, I don't think quite worked as well onto it. Again, kind of the Lucina problem. The Lucina Marth problem where for a while they were interchangeable, but now we pretty much know Roy is the best version of him, and I think that's just a fundamental. The blade difference really doesn't mean that much for Roy, because Roy is already trying to get in your face as much as possible onto it, so the even damage thing doesn't really matter to him as much onto that. Also, you know, that up B is just terrible. You're only really using it for Chrom side. That's about the most you're actually gonna get with him onto that. So I think Chrom's okay, but there's a clear reason why you see so much Roy onto it. Yeah, I don't like how much of the balance is being covered by the recovery onto it. Again, I think it honestly would just be better if the characters were actually the same onto that. I think you actually see the two of them so much more onto it.
Mr. Game & Watch!
Game & Watch went through probably one of the weirdest cycles in the entire game, because a lot of people thought Game & Watch sucked for a long time, until people really started to figure the character out. I was one of the first victims of him when the game first came out. When I was running the Ferris Smash team, we had a player up there, 2D, onto it. And yeah, no, like, I think a little bit he gets too much stuff for free. Like, he can up B out of everything onto it. I'm actually fine with his combo ability onto it. I actually think that's pretty okay for him onto it. I know a lot of people do. I actually don't think it's that bad. I think it's mostly to actually make him more punishable out of up B onto it. And his smash attacks, I would agree onto it. I think his combo game, keep that. I think keep that part. I would definitely adjust more of his smash attacks in the up B. I think those are definitely the big culprits for me onto it. So, you know, I think those are the changes I would make to Game & Watch right now for me onto that. Overall, then, I think if you change those, I think Game & Watch is in a pretty good spot after that. If I remember right, I think Game & Watch is like number 3 in the game right now?
Meta Knight!
Okay, Meta Knight obviously went through a big rework in Smash 4 for the obvious reasons onto that. I think Meta Knight is fine in his current version. I think I would prefer a bit more of a Smash 4 version onto that, because he got a lot of big time combo kill tools off of that, you know, through the up B tools on that, you know, get kill confirms. I think, honestly, they did remove a little bit of the benefit of his smash attacks where they came out all along, but there wasn't much end lag on him. Yeah, I don't think he transitioned great into Ultimate onto it. I kind of want to see more of his Smash 4 self come back. I think that's actually more of the right direction. It's weird. I feel like I'm praising a lot of Smash 4 character designs now that I kind of look back onto that. Because I think they were on the right track of a lot of characters. Yeah, I don't like Tornado. I think Tornado's easily his worst move now. Actually, Tornado... Would you say Tornado or down B is Meta Knight's worst move now? I think it's one of them onto that. Like, I think it's, the rest of his kit is pretty good onto it. I think making his touch attacks hard is a good thing on paper, but he struggles too high on skill floor. Yeah, that's the problem with it. I think Meta Knight kind of only has one path forward with a game plan. And, like, in Smash 4, he got nerfed to unplayability. Oh god, no, Roxas! Oh god, no! No, God! Tell me you haven't played competitive Smash without telling me you haven't played competitive Smash 4 onto that. God, Meta Knight did not get nerfed into unplayability. He was consistently a character that we saw all the time from top players. Hell, that's how MKLeo got his name, playing that character on that, you know? So, yeah, no. I think maybe making him like a more aerial kind of Mario might be more of a good path for him. Like, yeah, I think maybe more that might be the way to actually go with him. Well, Roxas, it's because you literally didn't need to do anything with Meta Knight to actually play him in Brawl. That's the thing. It's very much how I feel about this character compared to the previous version of the game. You actually need to learn the character in order to play him now. That's why apparently the character sucks now in that. So, you know, on that. But I think Meta Knight could use a gameplay rework onto that. I think right now he's feeling a little lost in the current meta onto that. Okay, so here, I want to get the Echo comparison out of the way. Like, I think overall they actually work pretty well, despite the fact that they actually have two differences between them with the arrows and side B onto that. Because here's the thing onto that. Oh god, yes, Brawl Meta Knight would work. Guys, okay. I'm sorry, Pet, I'll get to you in a bit. Guys, you're probably all too young to actually know what Brawl competitive life was like. Guys, I'm sorry. This character in Smash 4 and this character in Ultimate, they were nothing compared to this motherfucker in Brawl on that. Two frame up air, glide for days onto that, could camp you out the entire time. 5 jumps, had ridiculously powerful down smash that came out in that could be used over and over and over again on ledge. Guys, you do not realize how absolutely insane this character was onto it. For it, like, oh my god. Oh yeah, also Tornado fucking Tornado beat out literally every move in the entire thing. There's a reason why characters in Brawl was probably the most, like, biggest tier gap characters in the entire series of Brawl for it. Cause like, characters are dictated. Can you fare up against Meta Knight and can you fare up against Ice Climbers? Can't do any of that, your character is screwed in the game. Just straight up onto that. Characters are defined by if they have a good matchup against Meta Knight onto it. Like, guys, you have no idea how bad it actually was with him on that. But, okay. Anyway, back to Pit and Dark Pit onto it. Like, yes, they do have differences between them, and I think that actually works out good. The reason why I think it works is because Pit is too honest of a character to a fault, that it really doesn't actually make a difference between them. Because that's kind of the biggest problem I've had with Pit for a while, is that Pit is a little too well-ranged of a character onto that. It's like, yes, he's got some decent combos and some kill confirms kind of deal, The problem is he doesn't really specialize in anything onto that. He's probably the most neutral character in the entire game onto that, because, like, you know, he kills at average percent, you know, he has a decent recovery onto that, but there's nothing that's really making him work other than that. And I think Pit really lacks identity because of that fact onto it. So, yeah, I overall personally like Dark Pit a bit more because I think the side B just overall launching horizontally, I think that's just a better angle against more characters in the game onto that. So, but yeah, I think the Pits definitely need some rework. They need spice to them. They need something that actually will define them as a character, because I don't think there's really much of a reason to play him over characters like, say, Mario or, you know, even a more neutral character like Fox kind of deal on that. You know, they're weirdly not much of an air fire, despite the fact that, you know, they have like 5 jumps on that for them.
Zero Suit Samus.
I think Zero Suit has actually been pretty... you can definitely tell Smash 4, Brawl, and Ultimate onto it. I think Zero Suit has been pretty fundamentally figured out as a character onto it. You know, I don't really think there's much you change about this character at all at any point. Got pretty good kill confirms onto it, good neutral onto it. I just think, honestly, Zero Suit's pretty much... they figured this character out at this point. So, I don't think there's so much to change about her onto it. I don't play her a whole lot, but, like, I know several people that do play this character onto that. And, yeah, no, the character seems so fundamentally solid that, yeah.
Wario.
I guess F Smash does kind of suck onto it, but, I mean, she's using up B for her kill confirms onto that, so she's using... honestly, more of her down smash is kind of more like her, front smash onto it. She also has side B onto that, too. So I don't think her F Smash being that bad is too big of a hindrance for her, but yeah. Wario is a weird one for me onto it, because I feel like this character has changed so much in between 3 games onto it. Even if we compared to Smash 4, it feels like he has a fundamentally different game. Yeah, I think, well, it's just honestly, I think Wario did get a little power creep in Ultimate. I mean, we still have Bluteny, who is, like, the best Wario in the world, still consistently doing well, so, like, the character is still good. I just personally have never been big on Wario, so I can't really say fundamentally what I would actually change about him onto it, but the people that like Wario seem to always like Wario onto that, so... I don't know. I don't know what I would really change about him at this point. Yeah, I guess Waft is kind of a weird comeback mechanic with the character onto that. But, like, other than that, not a whole lot I would really change on that for him.
Snake.
Isn't it weird how every time this guy shows up, he is consistently one of the best characters in the game? Isn't that weird, chat? Isn't that weird that Snake is just good in everything on that? I mean, Snake is, like, his projectile pressure is crazy onto that, you know, consistently good kill confirm combos on that. He's one of the few heavyweight characters that actually can really hold his own onto that. To be fair, he's not a super heavyweight, but he is definitely, I think within the top 7 character. I think he's like the 7th heaviest character in the game onto that. Would not be making grenades frame 1 otherwise than that, yeah, other than probably Grenade, maybe letting that be not quite as fast as a projectile onto it. I think Snake is really fundamentally solid. I definitely do think removing Mine was a really good choice onto that for his down smash onto it, because that was a little too much pressure he had in Brawl onto it. I think fundamentally Snake is really solid onto it right now. So yeah, if there's a okay, chat, I also want to put this on. Who fell off harder? This guy?
Pichu.
Or this guy? Who fell off harder in Ultimate? Because we definitely saw a lot of Ike at the beginning of the game, and now you will never see him. I definitely think didn't like his neutral air and up air get kind of hit onto that, because I mean, most of the early success was definitely because of MKLeo before Joker came out. Onto that, was using this character a lot. But then again, I think a lot of that is MKLeo will pick up a character and literally define the meta for that character onto that. Just neutral air at Hypersense. Okay, yeah. Because, like, I think Ike is moving in the right direction, but he's still really struggling right now, I think. Because he's fundamentally been about the same character he's been since Brawl onto that. I think, honestly, part of me kind of wants to see Side B actually be, you can act out a Side B onto that to actually give him a good, get-in tool. Like, if he could Side B in the Side B and then, like, neutral air on his way down kind of deal. I think that actually might help him out a little bit more. Or maybe, like, you could Side B grab or something like that, because I think a PMB could do that kind of thing. I think a Blazing Eruption with a Blade Beam would spice up his neutral. Yeah, it is hard to be a Swordy that doesn't have a projectile now at this point, because so many characters have that at this point. I think he either needs I don't know what kind of projectile you would give Ike onto that, because, like, he's never really had a Blade Beam or anything like that. I think just right now, Ike needs more get-in tools, and, like, his recovery is always one of the most gimpable in the entire game onto it. So, he didn't have Radiance, okay. Yeah, I'm trying to remember. It probably Radiant Dawn on that, because it's definitely not Path Radiance. So, yeah, I think Ike needs either more neutral tools or more get-in tools right now. And I would probably also just get his recovery to be better, because, oh my god, man, it's so bad. It's so bad.
Pokemon Trainer.
We gotta approach this one character at a time onto it, because I definitely think Pokemon Trainer was a character we saw a lot of at the beginning of the game. And definitely fell off, I think, once Tweak stopped using the character for a while onto it. So, admittedly, I've never been big on Squirtle at the two. It's probably my least used character out of Pokemon Trainer. But I know plenty of people that actually do get a lot out of it, so I'm not a whole too familiar with Squirtle to actually say much difference. I think Ivysaur is great where he's currently at. I think, honestly, he's my favorite out of all the characters, personally, onto that. He's got the most combo potential. I think he's got a lot of combo tools onto it and kill power that actually makes me use him more than Squirtle onto that. Also, his vertical kill power is, like, off the charts onto that. Ivysaur, I think it's just fundamentally really solid where he's actually at. Same thing for Charizard. I think Charizard is also pretty good. My one change, honestly, for that, I would actually get rid of Neutral B. Honestly, I think I would rather have him have Rock Smash back, because I don't think Flare Blitz is that good of a move. You're using it for wonky kill combos and stuff like that onto it, because I think Rock Smash actually was a much better move for, like, shield pressure and stuff like that. But yeah, I think Pokemon Trainer's fundamentally pretty good. I think they're pretty good of a character overall, where they are. I don't think you need to separate the Pokemon anymore. I think we're past that at this point, because I do honestly think having all three of the characters together actually does really fundamentally change the character, because honestly, Charizard by himself, he's not good. Like, he's really not onto that. Having the other characters with him actually really does help him. But I do feel like the kind of problem is that Pokemon Trainer, I feel like people end up using 2 of them, not a whole lot of all 3. You know what I mean with that, chat? I feel like that's always the case when it comes to him. I do think Pyra and Mythra are overall probably still the best of the multiple character types, but I think Pokemon Trainer is pretty solid where they're at onto it overall.
Diddy Kong.
Okay, I've had a history of having several friends that have been really fucking good with this character ever since Brawl onto that. I went back to Brawl recently. Can you remember these motherfuckers let Diddy have 2 bananas peels back in the day? That was not okay I think Diddy is actually in a pretty healthy spot. I mean, Hoo-Ha definitely kind of tainted my opinion a lot of the character back in Smash 4 and stuff like that. In Ultimate, I think Diddy is in a perfect spot right now where he still has a lot of power to him. He's got a lot of setup tools, but I don't think anything is that insane as he is. I think this is the best Diddy has ever been kind of positioned in the roster onto it. I think he's fundamentally really good where he's at right now. So not a lot I would change about Diddy. I think he's in a really good spot.
Lucas.
Okay, so it's weird. Lucas, I feel like, was on the rise near the end of Smash 4, but then Ultimate happened, and it feels like Lucas lost a lot of the tools that actually let him kind of compete onto that. 'Cause if I remember, Lucas is pretty low, if I remember right. Where's this boy at? Where's this boy at? Yep, C- tier onto that. Yeah, pretty low onto it. Because I like to believe, I think Lucas as a fundamental moveset, there's not a whole lot I would change about it, honestly. I think Lucas is just kind of dependent by the meta onto that, and I just don't think Ultimate quite benefited him as much onto it. So I don't really know what the solution is for Lucas onto that. I think, because like out of the two PK kids, he's definitely the one I play more. I've always kind of been a big Lucas component, Lucas supporter onto that. But I don't know what you would fundamentally change about the character to really kind of get him to be more viable onto it. I think he is just kind of meta dependent on that.
Sonic.
Okay, I don't mean any offense to you Sonic players on that, but I don't hate you. I hate this character though, man. As somebody who played Sonic a lot in Brawl, I actually really fundamentally like him. I hate the way that this character has become though onto it, because man, I feel like Sonic should just be like a Falcon character to get in your face and annoy the shit out of you. But he's annoying the shit out of you in a different way because he's timing you out, and I've always hated how he became that kind of character onto it. Honestly, yes, I agree. PM Sonic, I think, is the way to actually go for the character onto it. I think that, honestly, is how I want to actually see Sonic portrayed for that gameplay style, because I think this Sonic is just... He's got way too many tools to time you out onto it. He's just so encouraged to do that onto it. I think stronger boxing tools and weaker spin dash is the way. Weaker spin dash onto it. I also think actually a weaker recovery onto that. I think Sonic makes Sonic a character that has that if he gets off stage, like, oh god, oh god, oh god, oh god. So that means he can't, he's not allowed to camp onto the stage, because if he gets hit, he's fucked onto that. So that he actually has to go in and get damage as fast as possible onto that. I don't even think the spin dash, guys, okay, guys, we're on different discussions here. I don't honestly think the spin dash thing is that big of a difference onto it. Honestly, it's more Sonic's fundamental gameplay is more the actual issue with the character onto that, because Sonic is just encouraged to time you out onto it. There's no benefit for him to, you know, actually engage in the combats onto that. And I don't think changing his moveset will actually change that thing. I think it's at a fundamental level they actually need to dissect and make the character not encouraged to do that anymore. And I think that's more changes actually with his recovery and his air attacks onto that. Yeah. Spin dash is one of the reasons that he is able to time you out onto it. I think just also of the fact that Sonic is just too good. I think the other part is that Sonic is too good in the air right now, I think, onto that, because he could just stay in the air the entire time onto that and feel completely safe. That's the other thing, because if Sonic is actually is able to, you know, not have dominance on the ground, I think that actually can... If he doesn't have dominance in the air, he has to work onto the ground, and I think that will naturally encourage people to actually play him more offensively at that point. No, I disagree on New Challenger, because again, I think PM is a great example of how to actually do that. Make side B uncancelable? Yeah, I think the thing is with spin dash, I think Spin Dash make it uncancelable, both of them onto that. Because I think that is definitely one of the biggest issues with that, is that Sonic gets Spin Dash for free onto that. So not a lot of incentive for him to actually commit to options and stuff like that. So yeah, I don't want to spend too much time onto it. But yeah, I just think this character's kind of got to go back to the drawing board altogether onto it. I want to like Sonic on it. I want to like him more.
King TDD.
Yeah, Deity is one of the worst characters in the game, tier list wise, and it definitely shows onto it. I think Deity is kind of a perfect example of a lot of the problems that heavies do have onto it. Because I don't think he's got enough tools to make up for the fact that he's so big and so heavy that other characters are just able to run circles around him right now. So I think definitely making Deity more mobile is probably the #1 thing I would go for changing Deity onto that. Because, I mean, the big thing is once Deity lost his chain grabs, Archie wanna like Sonic. Archie, yeah. I think, honestly, because once Deity lost his chain grab, that kind of fundamentally showed as a character, like, he's really lacking onto that. So I think, honestly, better frame data can make up for slow mobility. I'm just a little afraid of the fact that can Deity even get in is kind of the thing onto that for it. So yeah, I think maybe a combination of the two, honestly. If like you reduce Deity's power but he just gets more he gets overall just some more moves to actually combo with more consistently, I think that's the way to probably go about it for him. Oh, excuse me. I've been talking a lot.
Olimar.
Okay, I mean, I'm gonna be honest. I don't feel like I have too much opinions on Olimar, because I think he's about the same as he's been in Smash 4 onto it. I just don't really got much to say on the character for me. Yeah. I've never been too much of an Olimar player onto it. And it definitely feels like Olimar's presence is definitely starting to diminish out to where he's a character specialist at this point. So yeah, I don't got much to really say about Olimar. However, the next character though,
Lucario.
So Lucario, man, a character I feel like fundamentally has to be taken back and reworked onto it. Aura is just not a good enough combat mechanic to make up for all the shortcomings. Like, really think about it. Aura is meant to be Lucario's big thing to get him to, you know, come back from big deficits onto it. Meanwhile, you have things like Loft, Limit, Down B, Arsene, Go, Kazuya's entire kit. So, like, Aura is just not a good enough mechanic to really bring him up from that. I feel like a lot of his kit is just not that fun. He's just too... I think the other part is that he's way too floaty onto that, too, for this kind of style onto it. Because, honestly, between the two of them, I always think Mewtwo actually fit this style way more as a glass cannon-y kind of character. Onto that, like, he floats a lot, you know, onto that. He's a big character, but he actually does get a lot of that. But yeah, I mean, Caliber Knight, the problem is by the time you're at that high percentage and with how many kill options are in the game, Lucario just fundamentally doesn't work with the idea of Smash onto it. I definitely think PM was kind of moving more in the right direction, because honestly, for me, a Joker is just a better designed Lucario. Is that a hot take? Is that a hot take on that at all for me? But yeah, I think Lucario kind of just needs a massive rework of the character like Bowser had a little while ago onto that. And I think for Aura, make it actually more... My idea maybe is more of like a meter system where like PM, he gets like the big Spirit Bomb kind of thing. I think make it kind of like a Terry comeback mechanic might be more the actual way for that. Because the current version of the system is just not really working for the character at all. I don't think the character needs super armor. I really don't think he needs that onto it. Because I don't think that will fundamentally change his character at that at all on that.
Rob!
Okay. So, you all might hate me for this. I know you all are sick of this character. I kind of think Rob is cool as fuck. I'm gonna be real for you. I've been a Rob supporter for a while onto that. I actually think Rob is fundamentally a pretty well-designed character in Ultimate onto it, because I think he's able to play hot cold so well onto it. I do think Side B is a little much onto it, like for its offstage presence and how much like it's able to kill so many characters on the cast. I think that could be tweaked a little bit more, but I actually think fundamentally Rob's in a really good spot onto it. I just think he's super good, so people are sick of the character onto that. But I think, honestly, this is like the coolest Rob he's ever been. He's actually one of my favorite characters in Ultimate. I do think he is getting a little much for the amount of... His skill floor is pretty low, and he gets a lot off of that. I do agree onto it. I think he can be tweaked, but I like his overall game plan. I think if they make it a bit more... if they make it him a little bit more technical of a character, like if you actually make him a bit more like a Peach kind of deal, not quite as insane onto it, but I think move his skill floor up a bit, and I think Rob is actually going to be in a pretty good spot on that. I don't know how much of a hot take that is onto it, but I think Rob is pretty good. He's on the right track. Tone him down a little bit, but I think he's good onto that. Yeah, he's supposed to be a zoner, but he's got some of the best normals. That's kind of what I like about him, honestly, and I think that was the reason Rob was being held back for a very long time. Okay. I mean, you all know the history I have with this character onto it. Okay, admittedly, I actually think this is probably the worst version of Toon Link onto it, because he's weirdly kind of gotten worse in every game onto it, because Brawl Toon Link is easily his best version, like hands down. Back air, back air, back air on that. But I mean, for it, I still think, like, there's a reason I still play this character, you know, after all this time, despite just the fact that I have so much knowledge of the character after years. Really good projectile pressure onto it for it. Him actually having more of that floating nature actually lets him get a ton of kill confirms from it. He doesn't actually feel too different from the Smash version. It's mostly like his Smash attacks, and he doesn't quite get as many kill confirms as he did in Smash 4 onto it. Also, his back throw, I think, also got nerfed on that too for it. But I think Toon Link is... I would like to see a bit more of some brawlisms come back to him. I think like his bomb and boomerang combo structure for that is actually really good onto that. Like the bomb, you like bomb, boomerang, forward air. That's like your go-to combo onto that for it. I think for me, I would like to see the Pogo down B probably come because I feel like his down B is just not as good enough of a tool right now. I think this down not down B, down air is probably the move I want to actually see change with him more. I don't know if necessarily you bring the Pogo back for it, but I think his down air just kind of needs to fundamentally be changed, because I feel like he dies too many times from that. Like, compared to a lot of, he had Pogo down air and Brawl. Yeah, that. I do think, honestly, that actually might help for his combo structure more to bring that back. But I think kind of Toon Link as a base, I think is good, but I would like to see more of his Brawlisms come back to the character onto it. And, you know, I know a lot of you do complain about the fact that 3 Links all kind of feel similar. Honestly, it's just probably just because of the fact that I actually main one of them for years onto it. I honestly think there are a ton of actual game feel differences between the 3 of them onto it, to where I actually do feel like there is a good enough reason to pick one over the other. And I don't feel like they just cancel each other out onto them, like Lucina Marth kind of situation. So that's why I'm actually okay with that onto it. And I don't feel like I feel like regular Link could need buffs. I honestly think with Young Link and Toon Link, there are differences enough onto that where I can definitely see why you pick one or the other. Oh, hold on. Yeah. That's always kind of the problem, JoJo, when it comes to casual conversations when talking about this stuff. Kind of deal, because they'll always look at a very base level onto that. When characters are defined, I feel so much more than that, which I think is kind of the problem I have with starting with the Smash 4 roster very soon at this point. But we'll get into that.
Wolf.
Okay, so this Wolf is very different compared to his Brawl version. I mean, I like the fact that he actually feels like a character at this point, instead of being a weird Frankenstein of so many other characters onto it. Even though I like Fox more, I think Wolf still has a place in the game overall. Like, I think, honestly, he's got one of the best projectiles in the game. Yeah, I think actually Wolf is really fundamentally solid. I think I like Fox more, but I think Wolf fits in really well onto it. He's got good grab combos, pretty good aerials onto it. I think his blaster is honestly one of the best projectiles in the entire game onto it. With how big and fast it is on that, it denies so many characters pressure onto that. You'd be surprised how many characters fall apart to that laser onto it. I think Wolf is in a pretty damn good spot onto it. I think he's a good variant character onto that. Yeah, no, like, I totally agree. You can totally tell who is playing Wolf by how he plays onto it. He's one of the most expressive characters in the game. That's another reason why I really love Fox on that as well for it. So I think Wolf is in a good spot.
Villager.
So, I feel like we don't see Villager much anymore at this point. Cause like it definitely felt like he was on the rise in Smash 4 for a little while. Villager feels like he's fallen off super hard. I think just because of the fact that he's lost a lot of his main kill options onto that, so a lot of his stuff just kind of feels like throwing out hits for the sake of it onto that. And I don't think like Villager's got much of an actual game plan. Yes, you know, Ty, yeah, if Roy in Smash 4 was an Ultimate character trapped in Smash 4, Villager is a Smash 4 character trapped in Ultimate onto that.
Villager.
He definitely feels like he's still stuck in that era onto that. So I think, honestly, you give him more of his actual kill confirms back, I think Villager could potentially come back into his own onto that, but I don't know. This character is kind of fundamentally such a weird oddball onto it that I don't know. It's gonna be kind of hard. I think probably giving him more of his actual confirms can probably help.
Mega Man.
So here's the thing. I always feel like, personally for me, Mega Man has always been a little like stiff of a character to use. Obviously, that's kind of by design with him onto it. But oh my god, man. When people play this character at high level, good god, he is one of the most terrifying characters in this entire game, man. Onto it. Like, yeah, when a good Mega Man player plays this character, he looks like he is playing a completely different character on that. You know, Kanemushi is always the one I think of as well onto that. The big thing that really makes Mega Man is a Metal Blade onto that is getting the kill confirms that way onto it. Because, man, when Mega Man players swag out, they swag the fuck out onto it. If you ever want to see that, look at Kanemushi's stuff onto it. His Mega Man is just like, oh my god, onto it. So I actually think Mega Man is one of those characters that actually transition to Ultimate just fine. He's got basically the exact same game plan going down. So I don't think there's actually too much I would really change about Mega Man. He is definitely an oddball character, but he's one that we have really, that like, when people came in and told us how to play Mega Man, it was clear that they were playing on an entirely different level with this character onto it. So yeah.
Wii Fit Trainer.
Wii Fit is the weirdest damn character in this entire game. Like, all their aerials, all their tilts onto it, some of the most jank-ass hitboxes in the entire game. Like, honestly, I feel like Wii Fit Trainer kind of is the new age Luigi for me onto it, of like just being this weird as hell character with all of this kind of stuff. I kind of like that onto it, but I do feel like Wii Fit is lacking a traditional game plan onto it. And I think that's one of the things that's kind of holding the character back right now onto it. Kill less on projectiles and deep breathing. Yeah, I think more on the deep breathing side, like kind of make it more like a charge shot-esque sort of thing would definitely, I think more of getting the buff stack. Actually, you know what? I think Incineroar is actually a really good example on how Deep Breathing could maybe work, of like stacking it up to make the next hit really powerful onto that. I think actually really could help out Wii Fit. More like Hero Psych Up, yeah, that might be a better comparison onto that. I think Wii Fit definitely still has room to potentially like really make more of a mark onto that. I think not a whole big rework. I think the character can still get there. I think they can onto it. Because I like the idea Wii Fit is just this oddball SL character. I think you need that in the roster to, you know, mix people up. Mix them up.
Rosalina and Luma.
So I think there was a statistic not too long ago where I believe Rosalina and Luma were like the most least played character in the entire game onto it. But you still see results from like the buzz and stuff like that. Honestly, I think Rosa's in a pretty good spot overall. I play the character once in a while for me onto that. But I do think the character's a little too high of a skill ceiling floor. I do, yeah, that's like the problem. Like they're high on the skill ceiling floor, but I don't know what you would really change about them. So yes, Rosa's kind of fine in the position that she's in. Eh? I don't got much to say on Rosa. I think she's overall pretty fine. Probably some small tweaking here and there on that, I would say.
Little Mac.
Okay, I want to get this out here. I honestly think you can give Lil Mac a better recovery onto that. Like, I really don't think, honestly, I don't think even that would make him broken or stuff like that. Honestly, just give him a better recovery and actually give him an air game onto it. Like, honestly, there are characters I still think that have had worse recoveries in the past. Fucking, have you all played Smash 64? Like, Link's recovery gives him, like, that much height. Little Mac actually has a better jump than that on it. But I feel like Lil Mac is in such a, like, the kind of core fundamental of the character just really doesn't work. People don't like fighting him, and people don't like playing him onto that. Like, I do think Lil Mac kind of unfortunately needs a page 1 rewrite for the character onto it to make him more fundamental. Because, like, honestly, I feel like Jigglypuff is more of an actual boxer archetype than Little Mac. Because you kind of gotta weave in and out kind of deal. Find your opening and then punish onto it. I think, honestly, characters like that do more for it. I think just, yeah, make Little Mac in, I think, just an entire PH1 rewrite of the character onto it. Because, yeah, no, he is not very fun.
Greninja.
I have seen people go to town with this character onto it, but I feel like Greninja never quite gets the results that the character feels like they should be getting, kind of deal on that. You know what I mean? You know what I mean on that? Feels like this character kind of always a little underperforms onto it. I do think the character is actually really sick onto it. I like a lot of the, yeah, I think that's a big thing. He needs a solid out-of-shield option, because that's really hurting him right now. His defense is awful, but man, what he's a very Twitch clip character onto it. He's probably one of my least played characters, but I don't hate him. I think he just needs a few new moves to actually help out in situations where he's weak right now. Because, yeah, his defensive game's not good, but his offensive game's really great onto that.
Palutena.
So Palutena's been good since day 1 in Ultimate, and guess what? She's still really good in the game onto it. I was competitive Palutena for a while before Joker came out, and yeah, no, character's fundamentally solid. Some of the best aerials in the entire game onto it. Kill power is ridiculous with this character. Auto Reticle is alright onto it. I think Explosive Flame was one of the best things they ever gave the character onto it, because it fundamentally changed the entire playstyle of the character onto it. I think the one problem she really has right now is her ground game, because, like, her tilts are just kind of garbage onto that, and like the best move she has on the ground is grab onto that. But I don't know how much you fundamentally change, because I feel like Palutena, if you change too much, might really tip over that line. I think she's pretty good in the current state she is right now in the game. I think just because other characters have kind of power crept by her, that she doesn't seem as ridiculous now as she did at the beginning of the game. But I think Palutena's in a good spot. You know, considering she was like the character I was looking forward to most in Smash 4, I'm really happy of now. I actually feel like I can play the character the way she was kind of meant to be played all along onto that, you know? Oh my god, been talking for like 2 hours. How have you guys been enjoying this onto it? Because I've been having a lot of fun with this. This has actually been a really fun conversation to have on this overall. Really good. Okay, so Pac-Man's kind of a really weird one. I don't play this character much, but yeah, okay, actually, you know, I want to go back to Palutena. Yeah, I don't know about Auto Reticle onto it, because I feel like it's probably her most inconsistent move right now onto it. I think more, because, like, I feel like for projectile, Explosive Flame kind of covers all of that option right now. So I don't really know what you would give her, because I feel like, I know a lot of you are saying super speed, and like, look, I love the move too, but considering your regular kit, I think that would absolutely break that character in half onto it. I think that might be crossing that line. So I don't know what you give Auto Reticle, what you do to like change up Auto Reticle on that, but yeah. Anyway, Pac-Man, I don't play this character a whole lot, but like every time we see, you know, this character pop off, oh my god, Pac-Man gets kind of crazy. Yeah. I think the problem is, I think Pac-Man is kind of defined by a zoner who can actually attack a lot onto it, so that they can kind of weave in and out of being whatever character they want to be onto it. Is such a fundamental identity of Pac-Man onto that. I don't know what you would fundamentally change about the character, though. I think he's in a pretty decent spot onto it. Yeah, I don't know how much you would actually change about this character on that. What do you guys think? Anything you guys think? Yeah, I mean, you gotta have a good item game. I mean, it's a lot of like the same case of like, you know, with Peach and stuff like that. You gotta know how to use item game. That's a lot of characters that, you know, I tend to notice I play being a Peach player and a Toon Link. I got a lot of item game characters for me onto that. But yeah, I think Pac-Man's overall pretty fine onto it, but it's not exactly he's a character I like seeing other people play and not fighting kind of deal. You know what I mean?
Robin.
Man. I think Robin is one of those characters. Speed them up, man. Please speed these two up, please. Because, man, I feel like for a zoner character with a lot of projectile stuff is that, man, it feels like they want to be up close onto it, but they really don't have the ability to onto that. Levin Sword is just too inconsistent to be in your kit to actually really make them super viable. I just think they get outclassed by every other kind of trap zoner character in the game onto that because of their resource management onto it. I think, honestly, upping their speed would really, really make this character a lot more viable onto that. Because, honestly, this is my opinion, this character invalidates any reason to play Robin on that. There is no reason to play Robin over this character right here onto that. Because I feel like they have the same game plan, but Sora just accomplishes it better on that. So I definitely say speed is like the major factor, I would say, onto that.
Shulk.
Is Shulk the best character to never win a major? Is he on that? Because, like, I think Shulk is overall, on paper, it feels like he should be in a really good spot onto that. Because I think they changed the bit. They finally figured out what they wanted to do with Shulk, because I feel like Shulk felt very lost in Smash 4. Especially after Cloud came in, because Cloud completely invalidated Shulk onto it. For it. But I think Shulk is overall in a good spot, good range onto it. He's actually not as bad frame data wise as you might think onto it. And he actually does have a lot of big time pressure options onto that. So I think Shulk is good overall, but feels like he's lacking a little something onto it. And I don't know why onto it. It feels... I wouldn't rebalance arts and frame data since they are sole identity. Yeah, that's like the problem onto it. So I guess Shulk is pretty fine in his current spot right now.
Bowser Jr.
Okay, so Bowser Jr., admittingly, I've never really liked Bowser Jr. so much in his moveset onto it. I feel like the character, like, he has a game plan, but I don't think it's exactly a great one onto that, because I feel like he kind of gets outbeaten by so many other characters in the cast onto it. He does have some really annoying gimmicks onto the character, but I think there's a reason why this character has never really lived in full main viability onto that. So it's hard to exactly say what I would change about the character onto that. I think just overall lessen his major kill options, but more well-round his other options, I think, to kind of make him a more realized character for me onto that. Duck Hunt, I kind of feel the same way onto it. I think Duck Hunt kind of has to work so much harder than a lot of other zoners in the cast. I've seen Duck Hunts do great work, but it feels like they have to put in so much work compared to every other projectile-based character in the game onto it. Like, I've seen people pop off with him, but I think he just has too much setup right now. Honestly, I think I actually would like to see more combo game options with the character that can give him a bit more variety and to have more pressure. I kind of want to see them Pac-Man him a little bit in a way, you know what I mean? More creative with Uppy? Yeah, because I think his Uppy is... Yeah, it's not a great recovery too onto it. Because I think, honestly, his recovery should be a little bit better on that, yeah. Okay, actually, so here's the weird thing. These characters are pretty different between them, but I feel like they still have about the same game plan. They're pretty interchangeable for me onto that. I feel like I like Ken a little bit more onto it just because of the few moves he has, but I mean, we have been starting to see these two really rise. They have about the same game plan onto that overall, but man, I do feel like something was a little lost in the transition to Smash 4 onto it, because, man, Smash 4, Ken is significantly worse than neutral onto it. Okay, got ya. So that's probably why I think I've definitely seen more Ryu than I've seen on Ken overall onto it. I think Ken I've been seeing on just like Twitch clips and stuff like that. But Ryu's are definitely still scary on that, man. Like when they get in your face and really punish you, oh my god, you feel so helpless on that shit. For it, I still prefer overall. I think the Smash 4 Ryu, I think is he was really damn powerful onto it. Honestly, he's a lot like what Kazuya is now, but not quite as insane onto it. I kind of want to see that Ryu come back a little bit more onto it, because I think actually that Ryu is super solid, and I feel like this one hasn't been able to get off the ground in the same way for me. So I think the template is there. I think a little bit move more to his Smash 4 side of things, but I do think overall the other fighting game characters are a bit more fundamentally solid. Yeah, I think give Ken more reliable kill options onto it. I think Ken overall is really well designed onto it, but yeah, give Ken more kill options I think is the easy way for him, because he does have plenty of negatives onto it already, so I don't think giving him kill options would hurt him, that would drastically, like, you know, make him a top tier or anything like that kind of deal. Okay, so with the next 3 characters, I want to say, honestly, I think these are 3 of the... Now, because these 3 had such a history in the last game, I think these 3 are fundamentally some of the best designed characters in the game now. Onto that. Like, I think they are borderline perfect for me onto that.
Whoa.
Cloud is... I definitely had a history of really hating Cloud, not only because he was Toon Link's worst matchup onto that. That's not... It's not a reason at all onto that, but he also ruined doubles, so, you know. But honestly, the big problem I always had with Smash 4 Cloud was the fact he was way too easy. He was way too easy to pick up and instantly do good with him. Probably one of the lowest skill ceilings in the entire skill floors in the entire game. Onto that in Smash 4, that fundamentally changed in Ultimate. Cloud is a lot harder to get good with him onto that, mostly because they took away a lot of his major kill options onto that for it. But what they did, they fundamentally spread out his kit overall more. So now you actually have to use every move in Cloud's kit in order for him to be good. And that honestly makes Cloud one of the most fundamentally fun characters in the entire game. People pop the fuck off when they see Cloud now at this point. Onto it. I think, honestly, Cloud is one of the best designed characters in the entire game for it. I think he is borderline perfect onto it. There's not much I would really change on him at all. It's so crazy of how much I hated the character last time, and I think they fundamentally changed his entire philosophy to make him super dope on it. I love Cloud. He's great.
Corrin.
I know all of you casual people really don't like this character. Competitive-wise, we feel the exact opposite. Corrin's one of the sickest characters in the entire game on that. Okay, yeah, Tyler, here's the thing. I always feel like never trust Smash players on the first time a character comes out because they don't know shit yet onto it. Because it happened with Cloud, it happened with Bayo, and it happened with Steve. Every time, they don't realize how good a character is until way later on onto it. To be fair, yeah, Corrin did get patched a lot onto it, but I even think back in pre-patch for it, they all overall got Corrin to a much better spot. Because the problems I didn't like with Corrin before were that where down B was way too powerful, instant pin was just way too powerful of a tool in a game like Smash 4 onto that, and also that up air killed when it really felt like it shouldn't half of the time onto that. But Corrin now, again, same thing. I think they fundamentally made it so all of Corrin's moves have to be used now to make the character super viable. And yeah, no, Corrin is sick as fuck at a high level for it. We seen it at SmashCon a few years back onto it when Corrin really started to make waves and like, yeah, no, this character is super sick. Also, I think, honestly, probably the lowest rated high tier character onto it. Like, Corrin is like A-, and Corrin's actually won tournaments compared to a lot of the upper tier characters in the game. So, like, I feel like Corrin should be higher, personally, onto it. But yeah, no. I think Corrin is really fundamentally well designed, and I love how they play onto it. I know a lot of casuals really only see the Fates thing, and I think that's just very unfair to the character onto that. As we've been into here, I think there's a lot more characters that are just a lot more uninteresting into that. I think Corrin, I really want this character to stay because I think they have such a unique play style onto that I don't think any other character has into that. I really love what they've done with Corrin. Same thing with this character onto it. I think we all really, I think, wanted, you know, that we wanted to just kind of say that the character was not good because of past experience. Like, yeah, no. Even though the character is not the same as Smash 4, yeah, this character is still ridiculously fucking good in the right hands. You really have to character specialist her, but oh my god, man, Bayo is able to still just rack up damage so much, and the only thing that she really kind of lacks is major kill options onto that, because, yeah, like, she doesn't have a whole lot of her kill confirms that she did in the past, so she's kind of more of a Smash 4 Sheik-esque into a way, but I think that's actually really fitting for a character like Bayo onto it, there's not much I would change, honestly, about this version of the character. I think they made all the fundamental right changes, while this character is still very good onto it. So, yeah, I think they found a good balance for the character now onto it. So, again, this is what gives me a lot of hope for if a lot of the DLC characters in Ultimate come back. I think with how much they fundamentally changed my opinion on all 3 of these characters, I think there's hope, honestly, because now I think these are 3 of the best characters in the entire game, design-wise, on a fundamental level. So, I think there's hope. I think there's hope for a few characters to really get reworked into being very fun.
Inkling.
Inkling fell off pretty hard, it feels like, in the game. We saw Inkling a lot at the beginning. It feels like there's not a whole lot now. There's definitely still a lot of annoying moves that the character has onto it, but I feel like they just didn't quite pan out the way I wanted to onto that. I don't know. I feel like Inkling was a character I never really got into, personally. I know a lot of other people did, so I don't know how much I really want to fundamentally change about the character. I just never have been big on Inkling's gameplay style for me. Yeah, I think Inkling kind of needs more kill power. I think she had a lot of it at the beginning of the game, if I remember right. Then they took that away from her, and I think that definitely, up smash not working. Yeah, up smash is weird. I think you gotta make up smash more like, Snake Motor, I think, on that. Oh my god. I could definitely feel my throat starting to hurt a little bit. Alright.
Ridley.
Okay, Ridley is weird, because I actually think the moveset for Ridley is really fundamentally solid on the character. Like, actually, everything on paper feels like it's really good onto the character. However, I think the problem is that Ridley has all the big body problems, and he has a light weight, so he kind of gets screwed out of the one thing big body characters have, which is their survivability onto it. And I think we're all in agreement, just more weight to the character, because I honestly think Ridley is really fundamentally solid at a base level onto it. It's just that weight really kills the character onto that. But I think that can be easily changed in the next game if Ridley comes back for that. So, like, you know, I think, because, like, I think even the big body characterness, if the weight's provided, the character has plenty of room to actually get in, which is a lot of the things that, you know, other characters really lack onto that. So I think that he doesn't really have that problem. So, also, thank you for the raid. Hi, Virtual Cosma. So we're currently going through all of Ultimate's cast and dissecting the characters gameplay-wise of what changes we actually make to the characters, or are they fundamentally good where they're at. We're not talking on, like, you know, a Ganondorf should be more like his Zelda version. We're not talking about that. We're talking at a fundamental core level of the character's design kind of deal onto that. But yeah, I think we're all in agreement for Ridley, just more weight. Because I think actually, fundamentally wise, he's really solid onto it. I just think he kind of needs that survivability for him.
Simon. Richter.
I feel like these characters fell off super hard, because we definitely saw a lot of them back at the beginning of Ultimate, and now you really don't see them anymore at this point. I feel like their gameplay overall got worse as the game went on, because I remember people swagging out with these characters onto it. I think they are just fundamentally a little too stiff right now onto it. I think you give them a bit more flexibility and actual combo structure with them, and I think the characters can really pop off onto that. I think there is definitely salvageability into them, because if you guys can make Mega Man, like, not feel that rigid at all onto it, I think there is hope for the Belmonts on that. I think there is room to really work with them. Also, yeah, I think just make the actual up B into probably more of a... Because, like, I feel like part of me wants to give them more of a proper tether, like a Byleth or stuff like that. Or maybe even, like, give them a zero suit, like, flip kick kind of deal onto it. Because I do feel like they just kind of need more mobility overall onto it, you know? Because I think that kind of encouraged too much of their campy playstyle onto it, when I think actually when they're aggressive, they're cool as fuck on that. But yeah.
King K. Rool.
Okay, honestly, I think K. Rool is one of my favorite for fun kind of characters. When I just want to goof around, I think K. Rool is one of the most fun characters in the entire game. Competitively, the character's always been trash. Like, honestly, I feel like, did they nerf the armor on K. Rool from the beginning of the game? I feel like they did. Because honestly, I think I give, the main thing I would say for K. Rool is probably give him a little bit more speed, kind of like with, Deity. I think also give him, like, a shit ton of armor onto that, because I think, honestly, that armor gimmick really is kind of an equalizer that I think could fundamentally change the character a lot onto it. But right now, it's just not enough to keep the character viable. You know, there's a reason why the character is low tier. I think the playstyle, not a whole lot to really change onto it. I think overall, faster, less end lag, more armor. Those would be my 3 big points for K. Rool onto that. Just to make it more competitively viable, because I think for fun-wise, oh my god, K. Rool's so much fun.
Isabelle.
Yeah, we're talking about Villager earlier, and Isabelle is just a worse Villager, so she feels even more lost in the game. Onto that, I don't feel like she really works in her trap character design that they were clearly going for with her. It's just Villager's moveset is not designed to be like that onto it. Yeah, I think, like, Fishigrod is the most fun thing about the character, but that's about it. Like, I think, I don't really know what you would do with Isabelle, though, because the problem is, a lot of Isabelle's problems all come from Villager onto that, so it's kind of you kind of gotta fix Villager first before you play Isabelle on that.
Incineroar.
I think the most meteoric, the craziest upspring of a character in the entire game, because for a long time, we thought he was like bottom 5 in the entire game. And then Incineroar comes out of nowhere and starts making upsets left and right in the game onto it. It took a long time, but I think we really get... Yeah, I don't actually think there's a whole lot you would change with Incineroar. I think, honestly, for me, probably the recovery, because I think that's the one thing really holding Incineroar back onto that, because that recovery, especially in this meta, gets hit so hard onto it. But oh my god, when Incineroar gets going, it is like the most feast or famine character in the entire game. Because, especially in, like, with how powerful the characters are in this meta, like, if Incineroar plays his cards right, he can just delete a stock instantly onto it, like 0 to 90 kind of percent onto that. He's the best that the series has ever had as a grappler character onto it. Yeah, I think he's a better Lil Mac onto it, yeah. Like, honestly, I think Incineroar is pretty good where he actually is. I would not be saying this not too long ago onto that. I think the recovery is probably my one change, mostly on the up B, because that up B angle is not the greatest in the world onto that, I will admit, but man, Incineroar can be terrifying onto this shit, so I think he's really great where he stands onto that.
Piranha Plant.
Yeah, Piranha Plant is definitely one of probably the more annoying characters for me online and stuff like that, but the character is just fundamentally not very good onto that. You know, not a whole lot of moves to really actually get in onto it. I kind of has to do one game plan onto it. Yeah, Piranha Plant is definitely one of the most oddball characters, but I don't really know where you actually go from it, like you would with Wii Fit Trainer onto it. I think Piranha Plant is fun, kind of deal. But I think the character can also be a lot better onto that, too. Like, Piranha Plant is such a weird character. I like him. I want him to be more viable, though. And I don't... I think you actually do need to give him more ranged attacks and stuff like that to really kind of make him more of a threat. He's just a little underwhelming, yeah. Onto it.
Joker.
Okay, this is my main, so, like, I think he's one of the few times where I actually really loved a character that I actually wanted onto it. You know, we of course have seen MKLeo dominate for years using this character onto it. So like we all know this character is super sick onto it. Arsene is one of the best comeback mechanics in the entirety of the game. For it, fantastic aerials. You can definitely get punished pretty hard with the character if you're not careful onto it, because like he does definitely have a lot of end lag onto it, which I think he kind of does need to keep a lot of his crazy kill power in check onto it. I think I would like more actual confirmed combos with Up B personally onto that. Yeah, like I don't think too much has changed about Joker. I think he's pretty good. I still think it is. I'm just thinking about Smash Ultimate at EVO, and of course all the people saying that Joker needs to be nerfed. Meanwhile, MKLeo was like the only Joker I think in all of top 64 onto that. It's like, guys, that's just MKLeo being MKLeo on that shit. I think we saw so much more of like, oh god, I think it was more of like Pokemon Trainer Luigi and shit like that we saw in the actual bracket onto that. Also, speaking of controversy characters, okay.
Hero.
Can I just say that the hero ban was probably one of the most embarrassing things that we actually had competitive rule set wise in the entire community onto that? Hero never got results onto that. He never won a tournament or anything like that, and we were trying to get him banned onto that shit. It's so dumb. So dumb. Anyway, onto it. I think Hero is... I think actually Hero fundamentally is actually pretty cool onto his. I do feel like his projectile game could be a little bit better. A little bit onto it. Kind of deal. I would definitely add Symbol. I think the biggest thing to change about Hero is down B and how it works. I think you have either... I think symbols overall would be good for the character to be able to tell onto that for, you know... which move is which. I think even have the categories like be like a projectile attack, slash attack, stat attack, and then like this be a random kind of move onto it. I think having consistency onto that would definitely help Hero overall more. I'm okay with the moves themselves actually being random. I think just make them a bit more structured onto that. Yeah, because I think honestly that like idea bouncing him with the menu onto that. Yeah, because I mean the thing is that's like the bread and butter is the down B move, because like the rest of the aerials and stuff like that, they do have a lot of end lag onto it. Because like I think definitely you need to add some kind of structure to the character. I think that's definitely the biggest thing holding them back, because they gotta constantly play hot potato. But I think Hero is on the right path. I think they're on there. I think we just need to add some kind of consistency to the character. Sorry. Okay, we're almost there, guys. We're on the last row with them.
Banjo and Kazooie.
I don't know if this is a hot take. I think, honestly, the most disappointing DLC character in the entire game. I know Banjo won a major in Japan, and I have seen that. It is kind of sick onto it. But even then, I don't know if I really like Banjo's fundamental design. I feel like Banjo just has to work so much harder compared to every other character into the cast onto it. I don't think Wonder Wing is that great of a design mechanic onto it. The problem is, even when somebody performs well with Banjo onto it, they're kind of still lacking sauce, I feel. I feel it's only impressive because it's Banjo kind of deal onto it. Yeah, it's like Grenade. I just think Grenade, like, to a Toon Link player, like, Toon Link gets so much more off of his bombs onto that, you know, onto that. And I feel like Banjo's a fundamental design of a lot of other characters, but I don't feel like it all comes together, because I feel like other characters just get the job done better onto that. You definitely need to make Banjo more well-rounded of a character and actually have a game plan kind of deal. Because I think that's what Banjo's currently lacking in this. Onto that. Yeah, it's too over-centralizing of his kit onto it. Yeah, and the eggs just suck onto it.
Terry.
I love this man so much onto it. Terry's easily my favorite of the fighting game characters to do it. I think his moveset just perfectly works in a game like Smash onto it, where there's a lot of movement onto it. He's got a good combo game with consistent structure onto it. I do think, like, he's definitely got end lag on a lot of his stuff that does make him hard to, you know, he's got to pick his punishes onto it, but when he goes in, oh my god, man, he goes in onto it. One issue is with Wi-Fi, where a lot of his moves are too much. Yeah, I mean, that's definitely a Wi-Fi issue. I think Terry is so sick, man. I love how everything about the character works into it. Honestly, I think if there wasn't Joker, I think he's my favorite DLC character onto it. I think they did so much right with Terry onto that. Like, I would change so little about him onto that. This is a character I feel like has changed so much since when they first came out, because we thought Byleth was kind of ass when the character first came out, because we were definitely trying to play the character way too much like a ranged character. And then NKLeo came in and showed us how the character was actually played. The character is not slow anymore at all. That is not a problem with this character anymore onto it. Yeah. I think, honestly, Byleth, again, just like Corrin, is super sick onto it. I think they got some of the most fun combos in the entire game onto it. You know, their up air confirms onto that are really consistent kill options for it. I think that slow movement is probably the one thing keeping them into check onto it. But, oh my god, every time I play Byleth, I have such a giant smile on my face. I think they are easily one of my favorite characters onto it, and probably the most improved character over time. Yeah, I think that Distance Demon, that is not how this character is played at all onto it. A little bit more, yeah, with side B onto it, because, like, I think just forward air kind of covers the same ground as it, so there's, like, no real reason to use side B when it's got so much more end lag onto it, but yeah. Okay, so, actually, before we get into Fire Pass 2, we do need to talk about these guys, real quick, because we haven't talked about them, because they're all the way on the other side. So let's start off. I think Mii Brawler is actually really damn good onto it. They have a surprising amount of kill options onto them, and are definitely the most consistent Mii you will see in the entire game onto it. Take them out of Elite Smash, they bullied me. Yeah, I think Mii Brawler is pretty good. Mii Gunner and then Mii Swordfighter, because Mii Swordfighter just has the tornado trick. That's all they got going for them. Other than that, Mii Swordfighter just pales in comparison to every other sword character in the game. Mii Gunner's got, like, a few good options onto it. The up air and the up air and bomb placements are pretty good onto it, but I feel like Samus just clears them. Mii Brawler is a legit character, though, onto it. I think they're really good for that role onto it. But I don't know if I necessarily love them, but they're alright onto me for that. I think Brawler is definitely the most clean out of them. I think Gunner could be worked a little bit more. Sword just kind of needs to be rethought of when all the other sword characters exist. Okay, let's be civil with the next roundup of characters onto this, because I know you guys are sick of these guys, but let's just okay. Okay, I'm gonna be real. I feel like I still don't have much of an opinion on Min Min onto it, because we saw a lot of this character online because it was at the beginning of the pandemic, but it feels like once we came back to regular Smash, Min Min fell off the face of the planet for me. You never see this character played at all, even in Japan onto that. I think there's a few dedicated mains, but you just don't see this character much. That's kind of my problem. I feel like I got no opinion on Min Min because I saw her for like the first week, and then I never saw the character again, kind of deal. So, like, I feel like she's the character I have the least amount of data on, kind of thing for me. So, I can't really even give that valid of an opinion, but I do feel like the character overall, it just kind of is fundamentally not that great for Smash onto it, just because of the entire arms system and being that long range kind of thing. I do think overall, just to jump the gun, I think Sephiroth is a better long range kind of designed character, even with the flaws of his character design But yeah, I just don't got much opinion on Ming Ming because it feels like she just kind of went away as soon as she came into the game onto that. Like, she was there for a patch and then gone. So, I don't got much to really say about her.
Steve!
It's so hard to not be biased right now because of the menace that this character has become. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of how the character is overall designed. I have seen some sick shit with this character, but fundamentally at a level, I do think the character is just kind of not that great. I think, though, here's the thing. I'm not going to shit too much on it because, again, like I was saying before, considering where these three characters were at before, I think you still can't salvage this character. I think the big things, honestly, for me, is I would definitely make it so, like, maybe Steve gets one block off stage or stuff like that, and make it so, yeah, the diamond tools would also be toned down onto it. I think you definitely need to... He definitely kind of just needs to be reworked from the ground up. Like, I think he can be fixed in a patch if the game, like, were to be ported to the next system and then get a balance update onto it. I think you can still salvage the character, but I don't want to get into it too much just because, like, I think just there's so much heat around this character that I think we just kind of need to step back and think about him a little bit more onto it. Because yeah, there's a lot of shades of these two characters kind of going around onto it, and I just kind of don't like that environment right now. So, yeah. But we're just going to move on right now.
Sephiroth.
Sephiroth is such a weird one onto it. He's one of the fundamentally weirdest design characters into the game because, like, he is definitely more of the distance demon that Byleth was advertised at because, like, the thing is, like, when a player is really in the hands of this character, they can make him look godlike, but man, you really gotta struggle if. That's why we've definitely seen Sephiroth more as a hard counterpick character onto it, which, yeah, he definitely fits into that category. Yeah, yeah, that's kind of the problem. He's a properly designed zoner in a game of improperly designed zoners. That's a really good thing to say about him. I think for me, I would just add more kind of close range options to him because I do feel like he really does not have much when you actually get close to him. And, like, he already, like, I know he has all that range kind of deal, but he already has a ton of end lag, and characters can get in on him pretty quick onto that. Yeah, also, I think up his weight a little bit more onto it, because I do think he dies a little too fast onto it. I get it with the wing, but, like, Sephiroth's recovery is not that great, even with the wing onto it, just because he does have a pretty exploitable up B onto that. So yeah, I would also say maybe to actually give him options to get Skittles onto people, because it feels like you just kind of have to keep throwing that out of neutral to keep people in check onto that, and I don't know if I exactly like that, but he's probably the most normal character in Fighter Pass 2, I would say, onto it. I would like him to be a little bit more well-rounded onto it. I can understand that's really hard to do with a character like Sephiroth, considering this giant behemoth that he's carrying around with him all the time on that. But I think add a few more close-range options to him, and I think he will be overall in a good spot.
Pyra. Mithra.
Okay, I honestly think Pyra and Mithra are, at a fundamental level, pretty well designed. I think this is easily the best that the multi-character idea has ever been done onto it. I think it's just more some tweaking of movesets. Tweaking of, like, frame data and stuff like that, and some launch distances for them onto it. Because I think at a core fundamental level, I think they're really solid where they actually are onto it. I think the speed and the power should definitely be toned down onto it. But I think the core fundamental idea of the character is really good. I can definitely see them getting this kind of character treatment within a patch or stuff like that kind of deal onto it. But I think the core fundamental of the idea with the character is really solid onto them. So I don't hate them as much as other characters for me onto that, because I think they're fundamentally good. I just think that they kind of need to be toned down just a little bit. Just a little bit.
Kazuya.
This motherfucker right here on him. God, there is no character in this game that is more terrifying to get hit at 0% by than Kazuya onto it. Cause, man, it's like, I feel like he Smash 4 Ryu gone a little too far onto it. Cause I do think he is kind of meant to be a super technical character, though, but I feel like you can kind of get hit. He just kind of fundamentally does reward you for very simple play, for landing one hit onto him. Ryu definitely has to have the right setup to get the big damage with him. I don't feel like Kaz really has that for him. I think he can be salvaged, but I think you either have to nerf the damage or nerf the stun. It's one of the two things. He can't have both onto that. So I honestly think if he is going to have all that power, you gotta make him as technical as a character like Peach or Sheik onto that if you really want him to have that kind of ridiculousness on that. So yeah, I would definitely say Kazuya is one that kind of needs to be taken back to the lab and reworked. He is salvageable. I think he is honestly salvageable onto that, but I think he kind of is getting away with a little too much in the current version of the game right now. So I would say I think it's also the fact that he has such a good recovery that he doesn't really have any other kind of weaknesses as the other high power damage characters. So yeah, onto it.
Sora!
So Sora, I think, is at a really good spot, honestly, onto it, because it's like, I think Sora gets away with what a lot of other characters designed kind of like him are able to do. Like, I think he's a better Mewtwo, Puff, and Robin overall in fundamental design. I do think he can be a little too floaty for my liking. I wish he was a little heavier. Like, he fastballed a little heavier. I mean, he's got one of the best recoveries, so like that recovery's not gonna hurt him at all onto that, you know, for it. He walls characters off completely off stage onto that. You know, his spells I think are in a pretty good spot for it, and he can kill off the top super easy onto that. I think Sora's overall in a fundamental good spot. I do wish he was a little bit heavier onto that. I have seen people do absolutely ridiculous shit, like Kanimushi, the Mega Man I talked about before, picked up Sora, and oh my god, like, you make Sora look so damn good onto that. So I think Sora's overall in a good enough spot. I think you could tweak him a little bit more onto it. He definitely could get zoned out pretty hard at times onto it, but man, probably the best edge guarder in the entire game. Like, I don't think there's any debate on that. But yeah, that would be Ultimate's character roster onto that. This was a fun one onto it. I do think a lot of characters in Ultimate are overall fundamentally pretty well designed onto that. I definitely think there are a few where they definitely need to go back to the drawing board on a few of them, but I think those are, a lot of them have been kind of legacy problems where it is kind of hard to define them a little bit more. I do think as characters went on, we had a lot more interesting characters as we, a lot more characters were more fun in Smash 4 than I thought onto that. I guess it's just a change to the meta, and I think certain characters got hit a little harder in Ultimate than they probably should have as a fundamental thing, but I mean, that's kind of with every Smash game. Some characters are just more fun in one game compared to the next, you know? Onto it. I actually would be super interested in going back to maybe stuff like Brawl, Melee, PM, and like look at characters there and what do I think about them in those games onto it. Like, let me know, would you guys be interested in that? Would you be interested in that? And I think we could get away with maybe doing, especially like Melee and Brawl onto that. We could probably do those in like one, like maybe we could do like 64 and Melee in one session, and we could do like Brawl in another session, PM, that kind of thing onto it. I think I'd be down for that. I think I'd be down for that, because I like this one. This was a really fun one on that. Yeah. So, yeah, that's gonna be it for tonight. I'll let you guys know when I do another one of these, because I think this could be a fun little series on that. I think this might be a little fun one and just get a lot of discussion going. So, yeah, that'll be it for tonight. Have a good one. Bye-bye.